It is Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as well. Patrick, we got a few things to get to today, including some tennis. You surprised me when you said we got to talk tennis, and I said, "Okay, Patrick, we can talk tennis, and maybe we'll get to some of the other teams in town here in a minute." But Patrick, I don't understand why everybody was so negative at the All-Star break. All it took was the Twins, getting to Oakland, winning three, the Guardians lose three. Next thing you know, the lead's right back up to 2.5, and
Two and
then
a half.
everything's okay, right?
Yeah, and that Oakland team, it's not quite like when they had Vita Blue and Joe Rudy and Sal Bando and Reggie and those guys. Who are these
No,
guys? I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
any of them. I don't know. There's about one guy I ever heard of, Tony Kemp. He's been kicking around for 14 years. He almost beat him with a slap single yesterday. It's an awful team, but
All-Star Brent
you know,
Rooker. Don't forget about All-Star Brent
All-Star
Rooker.
Brent Rooker, that's true, who's not good enough to start, I guess, all the time for them. So yeah, it was not an impressive series, but they won 3 games, so I guess we should be happy. Obviously, there's great panic, and there should be, about Byron Buxton. He goes 0 for 12 in that series. He's now hitting 199.
Oh,
He came back. The season starts tomorrow. The season starts now. He came back. He hit the ball hard for about 4 or 5 days. He had 3 hits on July 4th, and since then he's 1 for 26.
oh,
And what kills you is he's taken up the DH spot, so you can't
right.
play the Julian kid. Uh, he can't hit. He can't hit left-handed pitching. What
Which is weird,
hitting
right?
125 or something against lefties. I mean, it's unbelievable. I
He
don't know
he should
what's
kill
going
left. He
on.
should kill lefty, shouldn't he?
Or he should at least be competitive against them. I have no idea. My theory is he's not a, okay. I think there's two kinds of hitters, right? There's athletes who happen to play baseball and can get a hit once in a while. And then there's natural hitters, and there's Joe Mauer, and you
Right.
know, there's
Luis Arias. Yeah.
Kirby Puckett, Luis Arias, guys who react to the ball and then hit it. They don't have to guess when it leaves the pit. They don't have to say, "I wonder what he's throwing." I mean, they all guess to some.
Yeah.
They all sit on pitches, but they can react when they can react when the pitch they're kind of sitting on isn't the pitch. They can
Yep.
still react and do something with it. I think this, Solano looks like a hitter because he's sure not an athlete, right? And
Yes.
he's a hitter. And Julian, I think this kid's a hitter.
Yep.
He's just a hitter. And Kirilov is
Kind
a
of. Yeah.
is a made hitter because his dad started having BP with him when he was 4. So yeah, he's a made hitter, but he's a hitter. He's not a great athlete. He's a hitter. But Buxton's a athlete who plays baseball and is going to strike out and look bad. But this is now Sano like. Can he handle modern pitching? And I don't
Yeah.
know if he I don't know if he can. Can he handle the fact that you're seeing 4 or 5 different pitchers every game, and they all have good stuff? I said last night on Twitter, they just don't throw cookies anymore. They don't
No.
throw nearly as many cookies as they used to. And he's a cookie hitter. That's what he hits. And he's totally screwed up now. So he does nothing for them. And everybody said, "Well, you got to get him out of the middle of the lineup." Yes, you do. Who are you going to put in the middle of the lineup?
Yeah.
They had Willing Castro batting 5th yesterday,
Yeah.
a Detroit Tiger reject who had a pretty good first 2 months, and since the start of June has been awful. He had, like, since the All-Star break, he had done nothing but strike out until he got a blue pit the other day. But he can't be your 5 hitter. Here's
No.
their problem. We're all wondering what's wrong with the Twins. They aren't good. That's what's the problem.
Yeah.
They aren't good. When Buxton's hitting 199, it's not because of Rocco. It's not because of the hitting coach. It's because of Buxton. And that look at that lineup they put on the field yesterday. That's not a that's not a lineup that people should be mad that they aren't doing better. Correa's been okay lately. Buxton's just, maybe he's going to be down on the beach with Miguel Sano, retired here. Maybe you're going to have to give him a 5-year buyout or something because he's
Jeez.
awful. So I don't know what, they did win 3, and the starting pitching wasn't as good as it's been.
No.
As it's been. I mean, Lopez coughed up a 5-run lead right off the bat, or 6-run lead.
6-run lead, yeah, 6-0.
Yeah, 6-run lead. And Joe Ryan has not been as good lately. But they were playing Oakland, so they won 3. That's right. They won 3. Now they go to Seattle. Let's see. And you know what? I think Rocco letting Duran save all 3 said, I might as well use him again Sunday because, I might not have a chance to win a game up in Seattle. So There might not be one to finish. So let's get this win when we can get it. And now I got to think. He didn't throw that many. I think he only had 29 pitches the 2 previous games. So yeah, I guess they put him out there. But that was a pretty bold move by Twin standards of using him again. That was a desperation move right there.
I don't remember seeing him 3 games in a row ever. Maybe that's happened before and I'm just not remembering it. But usually they're pretty cautious and say 2 is the most.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think they did say on TV yesterday that he hadn't done that before. But okay. I was thinking probably the last time that they had anybody save 3 games in 3 days was Perky might have done it back in the day, because that's the way you used closers back then. But right. I can't remember that happening. But and then there were years there where they didn't have a chance to save 3 games in a row. So. Yeah, okay, they win 3 games or 2.5 ahead because Cleveland's wobbly, but my White Sox might be a little too far to behind, even though they beat the Braves twice in a row. You ought to be declared Central Division champions just because you did that, because they beat the Braves twice when nobody else could do it. But yeah, I don't know. They won 3, and I guess we shouldn't be all negative, but they're just. Yeah, they're not good. It's a bad lineup, and I don't know. People want to change things, but you want Kirilloff to play against lefties. They want Julian to play against lefties. Well, we don't know if they can hit lefties or not. So yeah, I would think Kirilloff could, but anyway.
Kirilloff homered off a lefty yesterday, so he at least got something going there.
Yeah, I would have him in the lineup against lefties more than I'd have Kepler in the lineup against lefties. But boy, they ain't giving up on Kepler, are they? They're not going to give up on him. They're just going to run him out there. They
209 with a 680 OPS. I mean, although if you're inclined to give up on Kepler, you should be giving up on Buxton. I mean, their lines are almost exactly identical right now. I mean, Buxton's got a little bit more equity built up in terms of past track record. But I mean, here's the thing with Buxton. Like, he's talked about this before, and I don't know how much this impacts him this year, but not playing in the field a single bit, not an inning in the outfield this year. You're talking about an athlete like Buxton who, I don't know what it is physiologically, what it is psychologically. I don't think he is cut out to be a DH. He did fine with it last year when they kind of mixed and matched, and he's done fine with it in a limited role. But to make him a permanent DH this year, I'm not trying to give him an excuse. I'm just saying, does that not go against his nature in some way? Does he just not seem like someone who would thrive in that role to you?
Well, I'm sure it wouldn't be his preference, but they are convinced that if they play him in the outfield, he's not going to last because he's got a chronically bad knee. They are convinced that that we keep. Oh, he's going to run into a wall and blah blah. But that's not it. He's got a bad knee. It's like, and the other thing here now is apparently Polanco's in the same situation now. They're calling this a quad or something, but he's got the bad leg too, and And so there's your two of your best players. But yeah, everybody wants him to play center field. I think a lot of it's okay. They gave him all this money to be a center fielder. Well, the reason he took $100 million instead of more was because he didn't know about his long-term health anyway. That's my
Yeah.
I've said that 50 times, and I'm sticking with that. But I don't know. He had plenty of bad periods when he was a center fielder too. You look at his early career; he was awful. He's not really been a. How many great years has he had with the bat? One, and that was a half a year.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean he's not a great hitter, and now he's a terrible hitter. So it could be the pitching. It could be. People want him to play center field. Well, the other guy's probably a better center fielder now than him anyway, or just as good. So, if Buxton's playing with a bad leg, so Taylor can't hit, but then neither can Buxton. So, and Taylor run in and hit a home run every once in a while, and he doesn't get hurt. So, I don't think I wouldn't give him that excuse, but they got to be looking at all options now here and saying people are saying, well, maybe he can play a corner outfield. That'd be worse. To me, it's more dangerous to put a guy like that in the corner than it is in center field where he can go do whatever he wants to do. But who knows? Maybe when they get back, they'll play him. I think I told you this last week. Back in 1976, I believe, maybe 75. I guess it was 70. The Twins, 75. The Twins were so hard up for fans that in September they promoted Rod Carew moves to first base day.
Okay.
And they had a promotion. Come and see Rod play first. He's now no longer a second baseman. He's going to play first. And that was a promotion, and 7,000 people showed up or something. But maybe we could have Byron goes back to center field day.
People would show up for that. That's not bad.
Oh, yeah.
They could use the fans, Patrick. They could use the fans.
Well, they could now. I mean, their attendance has been okay, but it's my theory is people wanted to like this team, but they don't because they made it impossible. They have made it impossible with their lack of hitting, lack of offense has been terrible. So, but they're not good. They're not right now. They're not good. That's why they're not hitting. They're not good.
Even when they win 3, even when they hit over the weekend, there's just the element of but there's it's like they did this against Kansas City a week or two ago and won 3, and then they got absolutely roasted by Baltimore. And now they come out of the break, they beat Oakland. I mean, they very well still could win. They're more than a coin flip, certainly at this point, especially after those 3 games, to win this division and make the postseason. It would be hilarious too, by the way, if this team wins 84 games, wins the AL Central, and is the one that finally breaks the postseason losing streak, because they've had many better teams than this one make the playoffs. Yeah. 2019, 2010, 2006. I mean, a lot of teams in there that didn't win a single playoff game that, not only should have won a playoff game, but probably should have won a playoff series or been more competitive. But it would be funny if this was the team that somehow broke that streak, even though they might just stumble in barely above 500.
Well, you'll find out what they think about themselves if they trade, whether or not they trade Sonny Gray on August 2nd. If that'll tell you what they think about themselves. I think there's enough pressure on Falvey, and that they'll probably won't trade him. That they'll probably roll with it. But they can't. They can't look at the way this. They can't look at a completely ineffective Buxton, a team without Polanco in the lineup, a team that's Royce Lewis is probably won't be back till the middle of August, and everybody wants to declare him as the future. We don't know yet, and you can't look at this team and say, "Boy, we better." We better make sure we let's go get them some help or something. This is not a team you're going to go get help, but you will find out that if Sonny Gray gets traded or not, then you know what they think about themselves. So,
Well,
of course, last time they thought little of themselves. They traded Jaime Garcia after a week, and then they ended up winning the division.
and they traded their closer that year too, Kinsler.
Kinsler, that's right. Yeah, our guy Kinsler. Yeah, is he still going? I don't know if he
That's
is.
a good question. I don't know. Let me look at that because
I don't know if he's had some arm trouble. I know he's a heck of a guy though. I talked to him last year a couple of times. I haven't talked to him this year.
MGM Wine and Spirits is the choice for savings, service, and a great selection of spirits, premixed cocktails, wines, and of course, ice-cold beers and hard seltzers. With over 30 locations throughout the Twin Cities and beyond, there's an MGM near you. Head to mgmwineandspirits.com to find a convenient location in your area. Get social. Follow MGM on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest news and trends. Make great moments with MGM Wine and Spirits, your locally owned and operated choice for over 50 years. Save time, save money. Shop MGM.
Not even a rumor. I think Lavelle brought it up. I can't remember if it was Lavelle or Suhan brought it up, and I've seen it somewhere else. The idea of Goldschmidt. What does that do for you?
How much you can know? You're not gonna. What are you gonna give him the whole? You already traded that.
I know.
You already traded a lot of your prospects. You're gonna have to trade. You're gonna have to trade better prospects for Goldschmidt than you traded for Tyler Malley, who you ended up giving a steer away, and that other kid. And
Encarnacion Strand has no PS of like 1,000 at AAA right now.
Yeah, boy, we use him too because he's a right-handed hitter.
Yes,
he doesn't have a position, but that's okay.
Nobody here does. It's okay.
You could play him somewhere, have him go stand at third base or something. He'd be better than Miranda. So that's boy, do they need a right-handed hitter though. I mean, Goldschmidt is what he's got 1 year left, I think. But no, I mean, for what end? What's the?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it would take to get someone like that. He's 35 years old. He signed through 2024, so he's not a free agent until 2025. So that's salary you're taking on too, because he's expensive.
Yeah, he is extremely expensive, but he's great. He's a hell of a player. But the Cardinals, if he's on the market, there's better teams that are going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
There's going to be better teams. He wants to go someplace where he can win. I don't think he has a trade refusal, but
no. Was he the MVP? Was he the MVP last year?
I think so. Yeah, wasn't it last year?
I think it was last year.
And here's the deal. Well, we now have the internet is insane right now, right?
Oh yeah, always has
you
been.
Go on there. No, it's worse than ever.
Yeah,
because you can go on there and you'll see a headline like if you log on to I think it's the Microsoft page, right? Because one of my computers upstairs, you get the Microsoft page, and then it says Timberwolves trade Karl Anthony Towns for 3 players, right? And then you read the story, and it's some guy from Bleacher Report
proposing
suggesting that they should make this trade.
Right.
And then there's these other things. And now, okay, Goldschmidt, blah, 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 Goldschmidt. Well, somebody says, well, the Twins need a hitter. Let's put it out there that the Twins might get Paul Goldschmidt. It's complete crap.
Yeah.
And, if they're going to, the Cardinals will probably try to move him, I would guess.
Yes. They're terrible this year.
And their general manager's done, though. He's going to get fired 100%. So they're killing him down there. So, but yeah, they might trade him because they've just had one of the worst years they've ever had. I saw a list of their 10. They started in 1880 or something, and this is one of their 10 worst years ever. So
yikes.
So they're going to try to move him, but it's all. The rumors used to be based on some national guy, who's calling 50 agents. But this is now there's 25 websites where some guy's just sitting around thinking up trades. They put them on the internet and put a headline on them like they happened.
Yes, and there's an echo chamber to it too. Hey, Kinsler last pitched in 2021. It looks like he's probably At least in the majors, he's probably done. He'll be 39 in a few days here too, so he's not.
He's
not
probably back home with his babies. I would think he's got a couple of kids. I think
okay.
He's a heck of a guy. But
anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah,
this our fighting Twinks are just. You watch that series, and there were probably I watched quite the other when Maeda was pitching. That was here. That was Friday night, right?
Yes.
I couldn't take it. 3 innings. I quit. I went upstairs and watched some stuff with my wife for 2 hours and checked. I never watched any of the comeback or anything. It was unbelievable. 80 pitches for 3 innings, all slop. It was all he didn't have. He could have, he was terrible. And I've been saying all along, I didn't think this was going to play that stuff that I saw the first couple of games that he got him out with. But it was awful. I gave him a new nickname, Root Canal, when you watch him. Because you watch him, it's like a root canal.
Oh, geez.
So 80 pitches in 3 innings. That's the way that series started. So it's hard to say, oh, wow, the Twins won 3 games over the weekend when they, the team was dedicated to getting beat 3 more Oakland. It's that 3 road games in front of that raucous crowd in Oakland. That was fantastic. Yeah. Hey, did they have a skunk in the press box?
I don't know. The only thing I saw
were they just referring to the possum and they thought it was a skunk or something? But
I don't know.
Apparently there was vermin in with Dick and Plouffe and
That's
Berkey.
funny.
And
I didn't see that.
Skunk. I heard somebody say skunk, but
all I saw was that Plouffe predicted a Kirilloff home run. That was pretty good on Sunday. And I guess pregame, he was talking to Kirilloff about how he thought he was going to hit a home run that day. And so he brought it up on the broadcast about 2 pitches before Kirilloff hit the home run. And he said Kirilloff promised that he would point up to him in the booth, rounding the bases if he did hit a home run, and he did as he rounded third. So that was actually kind of fun. Plouffe's pretty good on those broadcasts.
Yeah, he's okay. It's just that you got 2 guys talking incessantly now instead of 1. So Dick could go out and if Dick was a beer and a cigarette guy, he could go out and do that during the break. He can't get a word in edgewise anymore. So
if you didn't watch the Twins, you were probably watching tennis this weekend. I mean the 5-setter looked like it was. I did not watch it. I was doing other stuff on Sunday morning, but that looked like it was pretty epic.
And you know what's funny? Baseball, by the way, I agree with your thing on they want to change the rules and lengthen the games again in the postseason.
Yeah.
Don't screw with what's working, as you said. Plus these games, we're having time creep.
Yes, we are.
328, 303, and then 250 something. And if you watch the All-Star game, you also notice that they gave us at least an extra minute between each half inning, which is what they do in the postseason.
50 seconds,
so
on those 50.
So you're adding 17 minutes already to the postseason, at least 18 minutes. So don't do that.
Don't mess with it.
Tennis is the opposite.
Yes.
Because you watch it, you say, can these guys really do this? 4 hours and 28 minutes yesterday. Right. They had one game that went. There was 38 points made in the game, and it went 27 minutes.
That's amazing.
Game went 27 minutes.
Amazing.
This Alcaraz kid is fantastic. I mean, Djokovic is the greatest ever, but he's 16-year age difference. And, he comes out and blows him out 6-1 in the first set. And it looks like the kid is rattled. And he comes back and he wins the tiebreaker. Djokovic had won 15 straight tiebreakers.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Major tournaments.
That's amazing.
The kid comes back and beats him in a tiebreaker, then beats him bloody in the third set. And that's where they had the long game, I believe. And then the fourth game, Djokovic comes back and beats him. But the kid, he has some high lobs over his head and stuff. He's fantastic. He's got that Spanish game, He got that Spanish game with more power than Nadal ever had. But
with some flair too, though.
Oh, he's got some flair, but he's apparently like just a tennis nut because
Okay.
he looks like a guy who could get a date if he wanted to. He's a very handsome, young, dynamic man. But I don't know. I kind of got into tennis again because my wife and I watched that series on tennis,
Oh yeah.
Breakpoint, on Netflix. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. There's eight parts, and it's the angst of tennis players. Let's say because these were all middling,
Sure.
5 in the world, 6 in the world rated people, and the angst of what. Then they didn't pick out the superstars, they kind of the next level, and the angst they feel when they're getting ready to play a quarterfinal in Wimbledon or someplace, that their whole life depends on where their career is going, depends on how that match comes out. It's kind of like boxing, it's you and him and you and her. That's
Yeah.
all that it is. And I like that element of the one-on-one and then some of the same people were in prominent in Wimbledon, but that series made me more curious than I usually am at this. But then I watching that kid earlier in the week, I wanted to watch him play Djokovic,
Yeah.
and then it went on forever and ever and ever. Now I'm not saying I religiously watched all 428, but I kept checking in on it, and then I watched the last 2 sets the whole way. So it was great. It was. I mean, these guys are amazing athletes because real tennis is 5 sets. You got to win 3, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's real tennis. All these other tournaments that aren't majors, aren't Grand Slam events, are 2 set.
Best of 3. Yeah.
Best of 3. But 5-set tennis, men playing 5-set tennis, and they're equally matched, and they're going to play for 4 hours is pretty fantastic. And it was great yesterday. It was great yesterday. I'm sure nobody watched, but it was great.
I think some people watch. I missed it. I've kind of like let my tennis viewing lapse. I used to watch a lot of it when I was a kid, especially, just kind of I think the tail end of my, you still had like Connors and McEnroe when I was younger, and Lendl and Boris Becker, and I watched a fair amount of it, and I just don't watch as much of it as I used to. Maybe it's just a function of how much time I have to watch anything, or how much how much other stuff there is. But hey, when you mentioned I
wanted to say one more thing about what's amazing is, remember when the Sampras came in and there were no volleys anymore? It was all aces, right?
Yeah.
Well, now they're hitting the ball just as hard as he did, and they're hitting it back.
Yes.
And they're returning it. They have volleys starting with 130-mile-an-hour serve. It's incredible that the way they can get the ball back on the other side with something on it. When this is like kind of like golf courses are figuring out how to defend themselves against the 330-yard drive. It's amazing that these guys can now defend the smash. Now, when Serena was at her best, the women were out of luck trying to return that serve of hers. But they can, you can hit as hard as you want to, and unless it's well placed, they're gonna knock it back at you. So it had a boring stretch to it of 20 years ago when it just became
maybe that's what it was.
Hit the hardest serve 15 years ago, but not now. Not now. It's great.
Have you watched the quarterback documentary yet?
No, I'm not a Kirk fan. I don't like Kirk, and I don't mind him as a quarterback. I don't think he's the reason they don't win games, but I find him annoying. I liked him better when he was his arrogant self.
Yeah.
When he first came in, when he tried to be a nice guy, I couldn't take that. So I didn't watch it. Now I hear the Mahomes stuff is really good though. So
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm making a point of that's maybe the next big thing I need to watch, because that's a commitment, right? That's like 5 or 6 pretty good sized episodes.
I think it's 8.
Okay.
I know my radio guys, Mackie and Judd, both watched it the first day. They were like intoxicated with it.
Right.
So what's interesting about it, I guess Mariotti bailed out on them. They chose 3 quarterbacks, and they did it well because the best in the world and then a guy in the middle, kind of
Kirk,
good, but next level. And then Mariotti trying
Mariota,
to Mariota, and he, let me not mistake him for Jay Mariotti, Mariota, and but they benched him, and then I think his wife had a baby, and baby might have been I don't know what, there was some complication, and he quit after like 5 weeks. So so it ends up being just Mahomes and Kirk, I guess. And Kirk comes off great, I guess. So, family man, they're all
right.
Having a good old time. Although I guess it's much more gamey than behind the scenes. It's much more based on games. I don't know. I might watch an episode someday, but I don't know. I never watched any of the Jordan thing. I found out it was 10 weeks and said, nope, I'm not doing 10 weeks.
Even in the middle of the pandemic, you're like, I can't be bothered with this.
Not 10 weeks. I'm not watching it for 10 weeks. I'm not watching anything for 10 weeks. A show that I get hooked on. So
I watched that. That was really good.
Not Amy. Yeah, it's all BS. Did they ever tell us why he used to be parked in front of the Ambassador Hotel all the time with his car overnight while his family was living in the suburbs? Did they ever get into that part?
I don't believe they ever did.
How about his gambling? They get into that?
Yeah, some things we don't talk about anymore. Hey, before we go, so I texted you this last night as I was trying to think of show topics, and it struck me that this offseason for the Wolves, the Wild, and the Vikings collectively, and they don't owe any of this to us, so I'm not mad at them or anything like that, but it just strikes me that these have been 3 pretty vanilla off seasons. Yes. No real drama. Early on we had the Cousins where they restructured him and kind of made it so that he's going to be a free agent, but that's not going to really come to a head until March next year. There's the cat stuff, but it doesn't seem like much is going to happen there. The Wild, they went and got the guy that's won 3 cups. He's good in the room, but that's about the extent of their off season. There's nothing real, nothing you can really sink your teeth into with any of these teams right now in terms of off-field, off-season drama, unless you want to try to manufacture it.
Well, I read on Microsoft that Cat got traded. I still don't. I saw you and Hein had a little discussion on this. I still don't know how they get away with not trading Cat, but I don't either. But you run it back, and then what?
I don't know. Trade him at the trade deadline. Like that doesn't make any sense.
But then what if you say what you're trying to do is working? What if you're 5th in the league or something in the division?
Then what? Yeah, then what?
But then we're going to trade him,
Or you're going to hang on to him and then have to trade him in the offseason anyway. It doesn't make any sense. And then if you wait till next year to do it, you've got to take back another $14 million in salary. Like you're still going to have the same salary problem if you wait to trade him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you are. And here's the other thing is somebody said this to me though, and they're right. Okay. Here's the problem. You're going to get rid of Cat. Cat's got his flaws. Okay.
Yeah.
But you'd 5 times rather have him than Rudy Gobert. But you got yourself in a situation where you're stuck with Rudy Gobert and you're going to have to trade this guy because you made this ungodly, stupid trade. It's, we all thought, I don't think any of us, I had no idea when they made the trade. And I said, oh, okay. How much money I never looked to see how ungodly much money they had. No wonder Utah wanted to get rid of him. How could they? What does he make? 50 one year? Does he get to 50?
I don't think he gets to. I don't know if he gets to 50, but he's at 4. He's like 40 this year, 43 next year. He might get to 50 by the end of that thing when he's like, he's like in his mid 30s, and the way he's going to be great then, isn't he? If he's already starting to break, if he's already starting to kind of downslide now, like what's he going to be in 3 years when he's making all that money?
Byron Buxton. That's what he's going to be.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's so they're not going to if they're going to run it back, as they say, signing Ant, I guess, is the deal. But you all figured that was going to happen. So
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, it's pretty boring. They brought in nobodies to help them out. So they still don't have a backup point guard. They're going to bring back Jordan McLaughlin again, who was terrible.
Yeah.
So and then we knew this was coming with the Wild, that they couldn't do anything. Dumba's still out there, by the way. He hasn't got a deal yet.
Yeah.
Right?
No, he hasn't. No, he's still a free agent. Yeah.
And but they can't bring him. They don't have any money to bring him back because they got paid. Have they signed the goalie yet?
No, he's got like his arbitration hearing is in like 2.5 weeks, and I'm sure they'll come to some kind of. None of these. I'm just reading Sarah's story. None of these arbitration things usually ever go to the hearing, actually. So they'll probably his deal will probably get done in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, you knew they were doing nothing off season, and then the Vikings haven't really done anything that's interesting except get rid of Dalvin Cook, who still doesn't have a job.
No, he doesn't either. Yeah,
you know how the Hollywood screenwriters are on strike?
Yeah.
Running backs should go on strike. They should all refuse to show up. Anybody who's a running back, rookies, anywhere, they should all refuse to show up. And if somebody calls them and tells them that they got to form their own union to get their own contract, it's unbelievable. They must be trying to pay him $3-4 million or something. I don't know.
Yeah, these guys get squeezed. It'll be something too if the running backs went on strike, but football went on and they had to use like non-union running backs. They would just
nobody know the difference. Yeah, some guy from St. Cloud State, which doesn't play football anymore, and show up.
Like one lucky fan is pulled from the stands every game and gets to play running back.
They used to do goalies in the NHL.
Oh yeah, the emergency goalies. Those were great.
They were so cheap back in the days that they didn't have a backup goalie. So yeah, it has been a boring off season, and it's funny because when we do this on Mondays for months, there was so much to talk about. You couldn't, there was every Monday there was 6 things going on locally, and now there's nothing going on. So we'll
get there again. We'll get there. We still always manage to talk about interesting stuff. We make it fun. We make it interesting. But these teams need to. These teams need to help us out a little bit. I'm sure they will. Just by kind of manifesting this, by talking about it, I'm sure that something between now and next Monday, something dramatic will happen.
Just think how dull it would be if the Twins were actually good. We wouldn't have anything.
They're in first place.
If the Twins had played to expectations, we'd have nothing to talk about.
That's true. And nothing to complain about, at least. Well, I don't know. We still managed to be like half negative, half positive, even after a sweep where they gained 3 games. So there's that.
Boy, it's my Whiteys, though. It might be over because they're going to trade everybody, but they beat the Braves twice in a row. How'd that happen? Unbelievable.
They're going to trade their pitchers, aren't they? I think I've seen.
Oh yeah, they're going to trade everybody. You got to know Reinsdorf, who's about 90 now, is just irritated as hell.
But they can't be better.
When he gets grumpy, he's getting rid of everybody. So.
Fire everybody.
All righty.
All right, Patrick. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Maybe Ken will be gone next week, and then we'll have something to talk about.
That would do it. All right. Bye.
All right, sure.